Well, good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. And a shout out to our online community. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Today we are into chapter 2 of our book, Birthing a Greater Reality by Unity minister and author Robert Brumet. In week 1, we covered the history of evolution from the Big Bang to 14 billion years ago to 100,000 years ago, where humankind became Homo sapiens sapiens, meaning wise man. It was that stage in our conscious evolution and biological evolution that we began to understand that we understand. Did you understand? That was when we became aware, that we were aware of things happening in our experience. Last week, in addition to this book, Birthing a Greater Reality, we celebrated the planet in behalf of Earth Day, knowing that we love and appreciate our beautiful home. And so today our exploration continues deeper into our evolutionary process, where as a human species, we are growing up. Yes, parents, the fledglings are ready to move out of the nest. And so in our process of growing up, it is our task then to wake up in consciousness. Waking up is the next spiritual and psychological step into fully claiming we are co-creators. An evolutionary trail marker are the marks on a map of the journey. Many of you have traveled across country, and in the days of old before Google Maps, we actually got a piece of paper and we charted how far we could go in a single day before we had to take a rest stop. And so evolution of humanity has that same map. The marks are the map of our own human movement. And as mankind has traveled in relation to his ongoing understanding of self, the trail is littered with clues of our continued unfoldment. Just as Hansel and Gretel left a trail, so did humanity. A trail of biological evolution, conscious evolution, and spiritual evolution. One of those trail markers is a book we call the Bible. And the important thing to recognize about this text that we very rarely focus on is that the Bible symbolically tells us of humankind's journey from subconscious to conscious to superconscious. And so when we look at that book from that perspective, it takes on a whole new meaning, which is a topic for another 7-week series, so we won't go there today. But evolution is not just about our past. It is absolutely about our future. And in this image, you can see mankind evolving, and then our future is in the digital imagery of numbers. You computer people will recognize the importance of that future projection of ourselves. Robert Brumet states that human biological evolution is over, and there will be no further evolution without conscious evolution. How we think, how we behave, how we project ourselves will absolutely make a impactful meaning and purpose. And so the purpose of evolution is for the absolute, the divine, to unfold itself within the relative universe. It's all about the birth and awakening and expression of each and every one of our divine natures. That's where we're headed. Oops, technology. Love it when it works, right? Okay. So multiple scientists and theorists and anthropologists have studied the trail of evolution and collectively say the path of unfolding follows a specifically sequenced level of consciousness. So the order of this sequence is fixed, but how we move through them is not fixed. Similar to the grades of our educational system, grades 1 through 12, those structures of schooling are fixed. However, all of us know that certain individuals have moved through them at their own pace, some jumping ahead and others jumping behind. And that happens at any given point in the process of those 12 years. It is not good, it is not bad, it just is, because in that now moment, that is what is the next step in evolution for that individual. There's no judgment, it's evolution. So the ancient wisdom tradition that depicts this hierarchical sequence of psychic structures is called the Great Chain of Being. Robert Brumet says, to understand evolution, we must also understand the concept of involution. Involution occurs in the opposite direction of evolution. With involution, spirit involves itself in the creation. The created is infused with spirit. They are not separate. They are one. Unity principle number 2. They are never separate, regardless of what we remember in the moment. So spirit evolves through matter, but not from it. There's a distinct difference there. Matter is the vehicle for spirit's awakening, but not its source. Through evolution, spirit remembers what has been lost. It is lost during the process of involution, when spirit creates. The created forgets that it is made of spirit. Does that sound vaguely familiar to your life experience? Have you forgotten multiple times who and what you are? So to assist with this understanding, imagine that spirit descends, and that is called involution. Spirit goes downward in the levels of consciousness: soul, mind, spirit, matter. And imagine that spirit ascends by awakening and transforming into the next level on the great chain. This is the evolution of consciousness. New Thought is all about consciousness. And so what we are doing with the activity of our mind will assist us as we move through the stages of our own conscious evolution. Scientist and philosopher Jean Gebser, in his opus titled The Ever-Present Origin, believes that all structures of consciousness to be animated by the origin itself. He described these 5 major structures as archaic, magical, mythical, mental, and integral. These structures are evolutionary and emerge over periods of time. Each structure has a very unique outlook or worldview, and it has a unique way of interpreting its reality. Gebser so strongly believed that evolution to integral consciousness was absolutely necessary for humanity to survive. He also believed that it would not be easy. And I think he's right. Because we have been working through this, those of us who are aware are working through these levels of consciousness in a more unique and mindful way. But knowing that anything worthwhile requires effort and attention, I know that those of you here today have what it takes. And the New Thought movement has what it takes to evolve into its next way of being. So this leads us into our evolutionary map that is called spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics is the study of evolutionary progress of humanity through value systems. Human behavior evolves by the way of experiencing pressure. How many of you have experienced pressure and it has forced you to move, change, or evolve? Come on now, every hand in this room should be up. And so when we experience pressure, whether it's environmental, educational, social, political, it forces us out of our comfort zone and we take the next step. Not always directly forward, sometimes we step forward and then we step back and then, it's the dance of energy in the universe. So my question to you is, how many of you know or have studied already spiral dynamics? A little higher here, I'm trying to get a read for the room. Thank you. So spiral dynamics is the evolutionary map that can be easily understood when it is applied to a single life, even though it is the study of humanity. Founder of spiral dynamics, Professor Claire Graves from Union College, New York, said it best. At each stage of human existence, the adult man is off on his quest for the Holy Grail. It is the way that he seeks to live his life. On the first level, he is on a quest for the automatic physiological satisfaction. And at the second level, he seeks a safe mode of living. And this is followed in turn by a search for heroic status of power and glory. Next, followed by a search for the ultimate peace. And then, material pleasure. After that, it becomes a search for affectionate relations, followed by a search for the respect of self. Next, it moves into becoming a search for peace in an incomprehensible world. Does this sound vaguely familiar to our evolution, not only as individuals, but as a human race? And when he finds that he will not find peace, he will be off into his 9th level of the quest. And as he starts out on each new level, he believes in taking that first step forward that he will find the answer to his experience, and it is just around the corner. The answer to his existence. And yet, much to his surprise and much to his dismay, he finds at every stage that the solution to his existence is not the solution that he has come to find. And so, at every stage, what you find seeking is not the end answer. Left disconcerted and perplexed, the human must continue to go on this journey, ever seeking the quest of today's Holy Grail, knowing that once he arrives where he thought it should be, it will not be there. And new questions arise, pushing him forward to take yet another step. Because the quest is never ending. So that said, I invite you to join me on Wednesdays for Wednesday Explorations, where we will take a deeper look at all of the chapters of this book, because it's so filled with juicy tidbits that you can't possibly cover it in 20 minutes, although I could preach for 2 hours. What do you think? So we will come together to have that dialogue and look at this book in a greater way. If you've not yet purchased Birthing a Greater Reality, we do have copies in the bookstore. It's a fabulous read, and I highly recommend it. So, prepare to evolve. Namaste.